I was a camper here at Camp Grove Point, but I was not able to participate in any water sports despite my love of kayaking. This was due to the camp not having any kayaking equipment for physically challenged campers. For my gold project, I ordered an adaptive kayaking system and taught people how to use it. I am making a video showing physically challenged campers and the camp counselors how to use the kayak. In addition, I also provided the boathouse with written instructions on how to use the kayak system. So the hatches at each end of the kayak are for storage. So you can store stuff like a day bag, a water bottle, your lunch, or whatever the hatch is. And so what you want to do is open them, and then to do that you take the lever from the side and then move it over to the other. And so you do that for the other two. And then you lift it up from this little lip here. And then the inside of the hatch looks like this, and then just pretty much your day bag, your lunch, or whatever can fit in here, because it's supposed to act sort of like a waterproof barrier. So in addition to the hatches, there's also this little rope-like part, and then this is also used for storing like a water bottle or just whatever you want to bring. And so what you do is you bring the item and then pull this up and then put it under here, and then put the rope back down, and then that should secure it.
A little lever on the back of the part, and they slide up and down, so you can kind of see where it's slid up right there. It locks in place. So if I want to slide it back, I just squeeze a little lever in the back, and then I just slide it back and find the right spot for it.
What is the right spot? Wherever you're comfy?
Yeah, and sometimes, like if you're using this boat a lot, not in good shape, you remember this is how we adjusted for the seat. The seat you can leave wherever you want. I usually loosen the seat up when I store it, because that way it's loosened up for the next person when they get in the boat. So if I just pull up on this is just a little clamp here, and when I pull up on that, it releases the seat and it goes all the way back, and I can just push back on it like that. And if I were to carry this on my truck or on my car, I would tuck that inside that. That way it just keeps the wind from just flop all around. Grab the hold of this little red thing here, and you lean forward, and as you lean forward, you see as I tighten that, it pulls it straight up. And then to lock it in place, see this little clamp where you got to pinch it? I just push down that little clamp right there, that pinches it there, and it's nice and solid.
So if additional upper body strength support is needed, there's a additional seat back. And then it goes in.
To install that.
And so to install that, you pull the seat forward using this, and then you lock it down.
Pin. Zoom in on the pin.
And then you pull the pin out. Then you just snap it in like this.
Put the pin back in.
And then you put the pin back in.
No, it's got to go through here. No. The side supports can also be adjusted. Pull out the cotter pin and then adjust them as needed here, and then just insert the pin when the proper fit is. So once this bracket is attached 90 degrees to the pontoon, You can slide it into the bracket on the kayak. You press this button and it attaches into that hole. Now, you do both sides. This is very far apart, provides a lot of stability. And then as you get better in your kayaking, you can use this other hole. Brings the pontoons in a little narrower, not as much stability, but more fun. Okay, so another way to install these is just do the bracket first without the pontoon, and then you can slide the pontoon up into the bracket and tighten it. Either way is fine, whichever way is easier for you. Now you do want to adjust the height so it sits in the water. We're at a little bit of a hill here, which is why this is like this. This is a holder for a wrist strap, so you can slide a connector in here, and you don't have to use your hand to move the kayak. You can use your wrist to move it. Now the positioning of these is dependent on each user, so it can move in and out like this. The angle can move, and so on. What you want to do is find a good distance so they comes out this way, so you want them a little bit further than you think you want them. And once you find a good spot, you can just tighten them with a regular screwdriver. And it's fixed into place. So you also need to be aware of the angle here. So you want the paddle to dig into the water like this, not like this or like this, just straight into the water. So you have to adjust this angle as well, so the wrist is comfortably holding the paddle in that position.
To secure the wrist adaptations of the kayak, you put each of the wrist adaptations onto the wrist adaptation that's on the paddle. Then in order to do that, you slide the little hook part that's on the hand wrist adaptations into the little gap that's in between the wrist adaptations that are on the paddle. And then once they are secured to the paddle, you just put the paddle on the kayak and then store it in the boathouse with the paddle just on top.
All the water out, or most of the water out. So now we got a lot of the water out. There's probably still some in there. So if we roll it back over this, okay, notice how almost all the water's out. Yeah, it's pretty good. And we didn't hurt our back. That's important. So then I'll take the sponge and I'll just kind of soak up the water. I'll just push down on it like this. And I'll twist it. If you have water, if you have mud in it, sometimes when it's real muddy, like you take it somewhere and getting in and out of it, you just track a lot of mud into it. Then I'll take a hose it out real good. And all the muddy water will come down this end. I try to dip it all out. Then I'll do this several times with maybe a bucket of water, try to wring it out each time. But that's got most of it. If it's a little damp in there, that's okay, because that'll dry on its own. If somebody were to take this on a trip to cross this bay here, you know, they say, well, I want to go all the way over there. And number one, you shouldn't do it alone. You should always do it at least 2 people. Sometimes 3 is actually better. But if you got hit with a wave and it really started filling your boat up, when the boat gets full of water, it gets heavy and you can't paddle very well. So how can you get the water out quickly? Well, you can use a sponge. And I'll take the sponges sometimes, I'll wring them out real good, and I'll store them like next to the seat. Just notice there's like a little pocket right here. You can store that sponge right up in there if you wanted to, right here, and keep it there. The other thing people will do is they'll keep a pump, a hand pump, and they'll keep that up here also. So if the boat started filling up, you could reach forward and grab that pump, and you can like pump water out and squirt water out of it. It's one quick way to do that. So whenever people travel in a group, usually it's a good idea to have one person with a pump. You just want a large bay like that. We take it on a creek, like Brandywine Creek, you wouldn't have to worry about it. Your shoreline is close by. But anywhere you're out in the middle of an ocean or a large body of water, that's really handy to do that. And sometimes people keep a map there Some people will keep a spare paddle or a little small paddle under there so they can reach forward and grab it real quick if they have to. Yeah, so that's it.
So when storing the kayak, you take each pontoon off and then you put them inside the kayak like this. And then you're going to press the screw bar down and put it like that. And then you're going to repeat with the other pontoon and then put it on the other side of the kayak.